Valid card in your line.
Great. Thank you, Matt. Thank you, Dylan. Okay. Welcome to our second meeting of the Civil Law and Procedure Subcommittee. And we're going to try and do this as quickly as we can. So the first bill that we want to discuss is Sandy Rosenberg's SLAP bill. The bill number is, Holly, do you remember the bill number?
House Bill 129.
129. We held this bill because per the request of the sponsor, because he was just wanted to make sure that there were no issues that the, I think it was either the state bar or the, was it the state bar wanted to look it over one more time? The section, the proper section of the state bar. They didn't have any issues. So, I'd like to, okay. Is there a second?
Second.
Are there any questions about the SLAP suit bill?
I'm sorry, what's that bill number?
129. This is.
I'm sorry, we haven't done 18 yet.
We have not done 18. We're going to do 18 next.
Okay, gotcha. I'm sorry, just is so out of order. I apologize. We're only doing 2 bills, right?
We're doing 2 bills today.
Perfect. Thank you, Mr. Chair. Sorry.
129 is a bill that that basically it changes the way that discovery is done and paid for in SLAP bills. We've had this bill. We've passed this bill out of our committee now. I'm going to say for 4 years. We've amended it to make it something that the Senate said that they would be able to live with in the past, and that's the version that we have here.
And it looks like it also passed out of the House last year too. It looks like, Mr. Chair.
It's passed out of the House. It's passed out of the full House at least for 3 times.
Have you amended it at all? Is there any amendments on it besides just straight clean bill?
There's no amendments to it from how it was last year, and this year there's no amendments to it. No. Any other comments or questions? I'm sorry.
Okay, so I've always been a little bit uncomfortable with this bill. Can you tell me what was the onus of it? How did it start? What inspired you to do it?
So it's not my bill, it's Delegate Rosenberg's bill, but this has to do with folks who are being lawsuits are being filed against them to try to deter them from writing articles or making public issues of public concern about whether it be a company or a government or an entity. And so these suits are basically you're basically stringing up these folks who are trying to create some sort of public accountability of whatever the issue might be.
Okay, so
what they want is they want there to be faster discovery to determine whether the SLAP suit is actually a SLAP suit as defined by the statute, and if it is, then the case will be dismissed much faster, so that the intent of the suit, which is to basically put the entity out of business or tie them up in litigation, is diffused by a dismissal of it if it's determined to actually be a SLAP suit.
Okay, and then can you just remind me, right now, it's obviously SLAP suit's not defined in state law, is that correct? It's more of a case law situation, or it is defined in state law, we're not going off, do judges go off our definition, or do they have a sort of case law?
They have to.
No, I think that there's a definition, and I think, Holly, you might be able to help me chime in on this, but let me look at the.
Yes.
Mr. Chair,
Yep.
while you're looking that up, I always find it instructive, the classic local slap suit case. We had a big one when our friend Dan Snyder, team owner, was facing negative press about his various team management decisions. So the Washington City paper had a series of unflattering articles, and he responded by trying to bury them in seemingly frivolous litigation and basically jam up all their money and make, just to put them out of business. And it, the motive was pretty clearly he didn't like the writing. So that was one of the big genesis, kind of case studies for this kind of policy change.
So what was the outcome of that case?
I don't know. That's a good question.
Yeah,
But I
because
think
that
was
would tell us if the
before- it
system
would
is
have been
working or
before
not,
we
I
did-
think.
I think it was before we did some of this stuff, but I do think you ended up backing down because I don't think the city paper did end up going under during that, but it was certainly a worry.
Okay. Yeah, I'd just love to know, what currently, if I make a case in court, what will the judge be looking at in terms of a definition of a slap suit?
So
So
delegates
it-
in the bill, so. if
in
you
the
go
bill,
to the-
in the analysis, well, go ahead. I'm sorry. Holly.
No, it's okay. So in the bill, under 5807, it defines a lawsuit is a slap suit, and it goes through the different provisions, and then it says a lawsuit is not a slap suit, and it
Right.
lists out. So in subsection B and C, if you want to take a look there.
Okay, and that's the original defined definitions.
Yeah, well, that's the original, and then it's expanded in subsection C. So you'll see, let's see. A lawsuit is not a slap suit, subsection C, on line 22 on page 2. That's the new language.
Okay. All right, that's very helpful. Thank you so much, Holly.
So this alters it by creating, it doesn't require there to be a showing of
Bad faith.
bad faith. And it doesn't require, and then the issue of discovery can be expedited to determine whether it is or is not a slap suit. And again, if it's not considered a slap suit, then it will proceed as the plaintiff wishes. That's what the bill does. Any other questions? Concerns? Okay. There's a motion favorable and a second. All those in favor of the favorable report, raise your hands or say aye.
Aye.
Okay.
Aye.
Okay. Anybody opposed? Let's just make sure. So we have 1, 2, 3, 4 opposed. Okay. That and I think that Delegate Phillips, that was a raise your hand because you're in favor of it. If you're opposed,
That was in favor. That was
Okay.
in favor.
Good. Okay, you can lower your hand because we just did the opposed. All right. Good. That bill is done. If there's any concerns or questions as we go forward, certainly we can take them up. You can take them up in the Senate. As we know, the Senate has not passed this bill out. Okay. Now we're moving on to House Bill 18. There are amendments to the bill. Do we want to put the amendments up, or does everybody have them? Is there anybody who needs us to put the amendments up on the screen?
Yes, I need to
amendments
see
were-
the amendment. Sorry.
What's that?
Yes. Karen said yes, please.
Yes.
Delegate
Is it
Phillips.
possible, Matt, is it possible to put the amendments up on the screen? House Bill 18 is Delegate Hill's bill to deal with powers of attorney. This was this legislation came out of a work group that I believe the MSBA put together the work group, the Maryland State Bar Association put together the work group, and spent the interim putting together the legislation. Then we had some conversations with the bankers as well as some other folks to make sure that that it is amended appropriately so that there's all the opposition has been
It's okay. Don't worry about it. I'll send it to you.
has been gotten rid of. So we're in the process of trying to get the amendment up.
Yep, we'll have it up in just a minute. Hold on.
Delegate Cardin, Chair Cardin, I don't see the amendment on the floor system.
No, the amendment won't be in the floor system. That's a good question. As a freshman, that's a great question. So you're not going to get the amendments onto the floor system until they are passed by the committee and then uploaded.
Okay, all right, thank you. Sorry.
Or
for
if
that,
an amendment is drafted, like for the floor, they will upload it onto the floor system sometime before the floor debate. But in this case, we're not. So we sent out an email with the amendments, I believe yesterday.
Yeah, I got the email with the amendments.
Oh, good. Somebody got the email. That's good news.
I included the amendments in the reprints, and Dylan is about to bring up the amendment so that you can see. And the amendments include a banker's amendment and also the joint task force of the estate and trust and elder and disability rights section of the bar. So you're going to do two separate amendments. This one that just came up is the banker amendment. And we might have Bob Enton in the waiting room. I'm not sure.
Bob Enton he's here with me because he was having a hard time getting on. I was probably my fault. So he is here with me to confirm this all. So
yes, thank you. So the amendments were just clarifying and technical, and I've looked at them, and they address the concern that we had expressed.
So let me just go back.
Favorable.
So wait, so this is the first one. This is just inserting the word governmental, right?
Right, and then also
It
clarifying.
inserts governmental, and then it also just clarifies on page 26, line 31. It's related to the gifts to an agent who's a spouse or a decedent. So it's just, again, clarifying like Mr. In said.
Okay, great. So there's a
And
favorable.
Mr. Chair,
Yeah.
since these amendments have the sponsor's name on them, do I gather that no one's objecting to putting these on?
No, nobody's we have gotten zero objections, and we've gotten confirmation from Delegate Hill, who I spoke to this morning, that she knows of nobody who objects to any of these amendments.
All
right,
we
move the
worked with Delegate Hill, and she's fine with our amendment.
What I'd like to do is, instead of moving favorable on this amendment, can we go through all of them and maybe do them as a pack? All right, so why don't we go to amendment number 2? Do you want, I can share if you want.
Hold on, I think Dylan's just bringing it up. So one second.
Okay. Thank you very much. Is this also one that the bankers worked with?
No, this amendment is the estates and trust, the elder and disability rights section. So this is the MSBA amendment.
Okay. And this amendment, do you want to describe the amendment, Holly?
Sure. I don't know if Danielle was able to make it, but essentially this is just the recommendations from the task force that was meeting, and it alters the general power of attorney form. So what you'll see if you go through, I'm not going to break it all down, but if you go through the actual, this is the amendment in the reprint that I sent you, you'll see how they've altered the general power of attorney form to include these provisions. So important information for an agent, it has to deal with revocation, copies. It's just basically cleaning up the form per the task force recommendations.
Okay. All
Hey,
right.
Holly, could you look at the amendment on page 3 where it talks about tangible personal property and just explain what that's changing?
It's page 3, line. It looks like it's about a third of the way down the down the
It's gonna be
page.
after line 28 is what you're talking about?
It's right here where it says tangible personal property. So what are we doing here with this? This is a lot of changes. I'm just trying to understand what it's actually doing. I see where it's changing page 5, line 3. They're adding this in just above stocks and bonds, I guess. I just want to make sure I understand what is this doing?
Okay, give me 1 second, okay?
Yeah,
Yeah, I agree with Delegate Eric here.
and Matt, do you by any chance see Danielle in the waiting room by any chance?
Danielle is not in the waiting room.
Okay.
Oh, no, I'm in subcommittee. Sorry.
This is from the States and Trust section.
This is from the States and Trust section.
Probably okay.
Yeah.
Maybe on a hold.
So Delegate Cardin, we may want Danielle, because I'm looking at, and I just don't know the task force, the background in terms of where this came from. So I don't know if we want to move the bankers one, or if we want to hold both and get Danielle in here, because
Why don't
I
we?
just don't want to, I don't want to speak for the task force without knowing their true intent. So
Why don't we vote on the First Amendment? And then can we vote on the First Amendment first? Let's just do that right now. All those, there's a favorable. Is there a second to the favorable on the amendment, on the First Amendment?
Second.
Okay. All those in favor of the amendment, raise your hands. Okay. Anybody opposed? Anybody opposed? Let me just see. Anybody opposed? Frank Conaway is opposed.
No,
No, he's not. No, he's not. Okay, he's not opposed. Okay, so that amendment passes. Okay, now here's what we're going to do. I will hold this bill for one more time. If anybody has it, can everybody review the bill while we're taking our break on it? So that if there's any questions about either the bill or the amendment, we will make sure we have Danielle here to explain the amendment, that specific question as to the tangible personal property, including motor vehicles and boats, and make sure she understands that's a question. If there's any other questions, let's make sure that we have them asked so we can get this bill going. Any other questions, comments? Can you unshare that document so we can see, everybody can see everybody, and make sure that I'm not missing anybody's. Okay, very good. Okay. I will make sure that Danielle is at the next one, and we will do better at the technology as we move forward. We're trying. It's mostly me not really knowing how to do all this stuff. Okay. Holly, before we adjourn, is there any other bills that we are going to be taking up this week?
Not right now, but you may get some more after tomorrow. So we're no more tomorrow. And do look at the reprint when you're reviewing, because there was 2 separate reprints. You want to look at reprint number 2 for Danielle's extensive amendment.
Okay, and is anybody not getting emails about the subcommittee so I can know whether we need to redo how we're doing it? I just want to make sure. I'm going to try and get organized with getting you all the information at once as opposed to amendments later, but we send them out as soon as we have them available. Okay, great. Thank you. And
Chair Cardin, there is no try. There is only do. We're gonna reaffirm that every day. We'll get there.
That's all right. We're slowly getting into this. This is all good, and we got We got a long way to go this term, so we're gonna get it right. Remember, the practice of law, the reason we practice law is because we can never seem to get it 100% right. We keep on practicing.
There you go. I like that.
Okay. All right. See y'all. We'll listen up for another subcommittee meeting. Thanks a lot. Dave, we'll see
In the
you.
next hour and a half or no?
No, it's gonna be probably next week.
Okay, good.
All right.